once you at a certain point. Like Dr. Dre, who is now single again, he ain't worried about no little girl, what she think about, nothing. Every girl in his phone, please, can I spend time with you? Because he already on the other side of it. And I use him as an example because we know he be slapping hoes. So up in his face. Even with the risk having this nigga knocking their head off. So they still gonna risk it.
Oh my God. Shout out to Dr.
No shots, man. We love Dr. Dre.
No shots at all. It's just the fact that you
obviously these are things that are said, and I'm just making a light of it, but we don't.
Slapping their hat off, yo. My man. Yo, shout out to Dr. Dre. We appreciate Dr. Dre for his influence and his one-of-a-kind technique and music and everything. But what's truth is truth. And the main overall thing that to get from that is that Dr. Dre will want or need from no woman. There may be once, I should say. There may be once. Right. But as far as being successful and everything, he's reached that plateau. I would like to say that he is a billionaire or very close to. Mm-hmm. And because of his success, he will not be at a short change of women being in his phone or being in his face, regardless of what he may have done in the past. But I definitely agree with what you're saying. I definitely agree with my cousin. There are things about you or us as people all around the world, everywhere. As people, there are things about us that through each relationship, you should notice the things that are good about you and the things that are bad about you. And if you don't, you might want to ask that person, what did I do wrong, or what are the things that I lack, and find out if you're able to. But I think all of us have those points where I've been a piece of shit in relationships, and I've been a guy that's uplifted. What was this term? The term was upgrade. So I did some upgrading, and the chick ended up leaving. So it was just kind of like, okay, cool. I guess that was, karma or whatever it was getting back at me for me doing the same thing to somebody else. But overall, there are things about myself that I still learned in those positions, even noticing it when it was about to happen. I was like, oh, okay, I know where this is going. But through those relationships, I know I've learned something about me each time.
Right.
I've learned something about me each time. And those are the big takeaways. And in those certain things, I think one young lady, she said she wanted to be friends, and she didn't think that I would agree to do that. And I did. And I saw her a couple months ago, and I said, hey, what's going on? I gave her a hug, and she was like, oh my God, I didn't expect you to embrace me like that. And I was like, why not? Like, it ended, but it wasn't like we were throwing hot scolding water on one another. It wasn't like, you were talking bad about my family or anything like that. Like, it ended because it wasn't good for you and it wasn't good for me. And we decided to move forward. So because of that, like, the integrity remains the same. Like, since we ended on a respectful level, I'm going to keep it on a respectful level. Like, no one's going to know what we did or what went wrong. I'm not going to talk to your friends and nothing of that manner. But me and her had to sit down. Even then, we had to sit down and have a conversation before she could go on and talk to her friends. She was like, I had it all wrong. And I was like, yeah, well, that's the thing about you being in the position that you were in. And that's why it ended, because you were always assuming things. You were always assuming. And the more that you assume, you made it, I shouldn't say stressful. You made it tiresome for me to deal with that, instead of you asking the proper questions or getting to.
Well, one thing I will say, as men, and even though I pride myself on being a pretty decent communicator, I think I still get in our mode of just kind of not talking and not expressing things, you know, as clearly, and women like need that so much, you know. So a lot of the assumptions come from us not being openly, you know, openly communicating some things, you know. But that's another lesson that I've learned, you know, with these relationships I've had over the years. You know, I try to operate off of no losses, just lessons. You know, you know, it's not a loss. I learned something from it. So, you know, but that's something that us as men can work on. And I think something that I always tell my homegirls, like,